Hi friends, in previous session we just discussed how we can subset data by the rows. Now we will just learn how we can subset data by the columns. So to subset data by the columns, what we need to do, I'll just copy this code and I will just paste it here. And I will just write definition for you. We can subset data by columns using keep and drop. And I'll add this to comment. So I'll just take this out for now. So what we just did when we were working here, we just mainly copied only the order ID, region and category variable. Okay. So if we just want to subset data by the columns, so we are having two options, keep and drop. So keep keeps the columns which we required, and drop drop deletes the columns which we do not required. So that's the definition. So suppose if we just take this example, we require only the three columns from these 25 columns. So we will be using the keep, because with the keep we can just say keep order ID and category and what else, and region. We can just say this way. Okay. So we can just say keep order ID, category and region. Okay. And if we just want to subset data by columns for these three uh, columns in our final data set, so what we will have to do, we will have to give all the columns name except these three columns. So this way we will get the same result. Okay. So let me just show you. So what do we have here? We will be writing the keep here this way. Keep equals to, and then we just say category and we just say region. And if you just see here, this data which is like order id, it is just having the uh, space in the column name. So if we just do want to read this data or work with this column, sorry, so we will have to say order id and then n this way, and we just run our code. Okay, so you can just see we have got our three columns subsetted. Okay, because we just kept the keep. So what we are just saying, when SAS will just read this data, it will not read all the records. It will read only this, sorry, it will not read all columns. It will read only this column, and this column. Okay, and if our column name is not having the space, we can just write that directly. And if our column name is just having the space, we will have to write this way. And let's check whether it will work here, but it will work whether it is in small case or uppercase. Okay. See here, we are not getting any error. Okay, so whenever you are having space in your column name, you need to give that in the quotes and you need to give that as n. So if you just want to get the same result with the help of drop, then what you will have to do, you will have to give all the column names, these all column names here, and then wherever we are having the space, suppose this, and one more thing, SAS variable name cannot have the dash. So if I just show you this data, you just see here subcategory. So let's search for the subcategory. See, it is just having this way. We will just check whether it will work or not. So what we will just do, wherever we are having the space. So first we will just we will remove the region, and then category, and then order ID. So these are the all columns which we need to, I am just mainly sorting it, which we need to remove. So how we can remove this column? So wherever we are having the, I would say, space, we will have to clean those columns because we need to give those into the quotes. You will come to know. We need to give all columns here, like we need to give drop and the column name, all the columns name which we just want to delete, because SAS will just delete all the columns and it will just keep only these columns. So this drop is just opposite of the keep. So what I'm just doing, like wherever there is no space, I'll just keep it as it is. Okay, I'm just telling you how do we write the shortcut keys. So let's check whether subset will just work directly or not. So I'll just say write drop here. Okay, and let's run this. See, it is just giving the error. Okay, so for this as well, we will have to give it in this way. So in the newer version, like when we just create this as data set, it is just allowing us to create the variable with the space. In the older version, it was not we were not able to create the variable. SAS used to not allow us to create the data set with space. Okay, so this as well we will have to create, and then what we will just do for this column, we will just do this way, this, and then this, this, and and this. So we are just creating it this way. Okay, so that these are just getting renamed. Okay, and then what we need to do, we need to simply add this ampersand space and this way. Okay, and then I will just add this, and I will add this and ampersand space. So this way it will just add all the variables, create the series, and then we can just add all the variables here in the drop. So see, we have got all variables written here. So that's what we just did over there. Okay, and I can just take this over here. And now let's check whether it will work or not. So let me show you the log here. We haven't got any error. And if you just see the result, we have got only the order ID, region, and the category. Okay. But with this exercise, you may have just noticed like which one is just good to use. So if you need to keep lesser record, so you just use the keep, not the drop. And if you need to keep more records, okay, so you just use the drop, because with the drop you will have to write the lesser variable name. Okay, so that's how we just use the keep and drop to delete the variables based on the requirement. And now there is one thing, this drop can be used three ways. So either we can just use this over here. Let me have one glass of water. I'll just come back. I'm just pausing the video. I'm back, friends. Yep. So I was just telling we can just use these three ways. So let me just tell you, using keep and drop here is called as set option. Using keep and drop here is called as out or data option. Okay, and using keep and drop here are called as statement. So let me just comment this as well, and I'll just take this out. I'll put it here. Okay, I'll put it here and then copy this. So now if you are using keep and drop here, it is faster. And if you are just using keep and drop here, it is slower than this. And if you are just using keep and drop here, it is slower than even this. Okay, so it is the fastest, it is like faster, and it is kind of slower. So then where we should just use, we should always use here, but there are few scenarios when we will be using, we will have to use over here. Okay, so in that case you can just use here, but I recommend not to use over here, because over here it is just applied while SAS is just reading the data set. uh, okay, and here these are just applied after the after the PDB, and over here these variables remains across the data processing, and then applied at the last. So this option, using this option is not the good option. Okay, so now let me just tell you, suppose if I just applied here, let me just copy. Actually our data is smaller, so we will not be able to see the actual difference. So if we just run this and we just go to the log, so see we are just getting 1 second only. Okay, and if I just apply it here, because this data is actually smaller, so we will not be able to see actual difference. So there is no much difference actually. But if you are just applying here, you, it will just run faster. So let me just tell you, when we should not use here, we should just use here. So let me just come here now. And what we are just require, we just required only this data. Suppose we just require only for the east region. So we will be applying this filter here. Okay. So if we just apply this filter and we just use the keep drop here, and let me just run the code, we will get the error. Subset actually east keep drop region and where, and run this. Yep. So like you just see here, let me tell you the requirement. When we are just subsetting data only for the east region, so we do not need this east region here, okay, because we are just already applying the filter. So what we just require on, in this kind of scenario, we require only the order ID and the category, because whatever data we are getting is only there for the east region. So this data is enough for us. Okay. So if we just mainly filter data this way and apply if here only, so if I just run my code, what do you see here? We are getting nothing. And similarly, variable region is uninitialized. So why we are facing this issue? Because data, we have applied the keep and drop here in the sales statement only. So currently SAS is reading only the category and the order. So SAS is not even aware about if there is a region variable exist or not. Okay. So in that case, what we will have to do, we will have to keep the region here. Okay. And then this time what SAS will just do, SAS will just keep all these three columns, so we are just subsetting, and then at the time of writing we can just say drop equals to region. So this way SAS will just read these three records, SAS will just apply the filter, and then at the time of creating this data, SAS will just drop this record. Okay, so this way it will just work. Okay, so this way you can just see we are getting our data created as we were looking for. And if you just want, you can just simply, instead of this, you can just keep your this option here. So this code also will work. Okay, but this code, using this code is not efficient, because if you are using this code, so SAS is just reading all 25 records, sorry, 25 columns from this sales data set, and then dropping only, or I would say only keeping three records, three variables when creating the data set. But this option is just faster because SAS is only reading these three columns, and then it is subsetting, and then it is just mainly deleting one another column which is not necessary. So if in you just go to the interview, interviewer just try to give you these two codes, and he may just ask you that which code is just faster and efficient to write. So in that case, if you are aware about this scenario, then you should be able to do this. Okay, and if he just merely write this way as well, and he just say like, let me just keep this out and write it here this way, and then keep and drop are written this way. Okay, and I run this. So this way as well, it will just run. Okay, but it is not recommended. So best option is this, then second best option is this, and third option is this. Okay, so if they just ask you to order, so that is how you need to sort these options. Okay, so these are the three ways, like we can just use the keep and drop. And I have just mainly told you about like what does this mean. So it is just mainly called as out and the data option. It is called as set option. It is called as statement. Okay, now you should be able to answer the interviewer if they just ask any question, and we will just meet in the next video with more topic. Till the time, bye bye guys, and please do comment if you do have any question, and please do share, like and subscribe. Bye bye guys.